What's up, y'all? It's your boy Marcus, and you're now tuning in into the Be Do Have Investing Mindset podcast. And today's episode is a special one. I have my first client under the Ascension team, Eduardo. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And I have Eduardo here today because I want to have him share his experiences, his challenges, and just share his story about his real estate investing journey.
Yeah.
So, Eduardo, tell the world who you are.
My name is Eduardo Garcia. I'm a real estate investor. And Marcus, he guided me through everything I learned so far. And yeah, we're here.
The interesting thing about Eduardo is when he first met me, he thought I was a scam.
Yeah.
Right?
I told him I wanted his course, but after thinking about it, I'm like, what if it's a scam? What if, I lose all my money? So then I was like, I don't have money. Even though I said I didn't have money until I thought about it again. And I was like, what do I have to lose? Like, if I lose the money, it's only going to be little money, So I just texted him again and now we're here,
Yeah, it's very exciting because at the time that I met you, it was actually your last day at this non-for-profit organization.
Yeah.
It was my first day meeting you,
and
it was your last day.
Yes.
And at this non-profit organization, I do public speaking workshops. I told you about my story, and it seemed like you was intrigued.
I always been intrigued and stuff like that. So literally around that time after high school, I ain't have a clear priority. I wanted to have a goal or achievement. All I wanted to be was successful. I ain't know where to start, but I've always been interested in real estate. Even before I met you, that was like the main thing I wanted to focus on, real estate. Maybe it wasn't going to be like right away. I wasn't going to start like how I started at 20 years old. I would have started like 25, 20 something. But then I met you. I met a mentor, which was basically what I was looking for the whole time.
Now, at the time,
I was at 19.
It was 19.
Yeah.
Right? And the cool thing was you had a hunger in you. But you didn't know how to apply it. You knew that you wanted to be wealthy, you wanted to be financially free, but you didn't know what avenue to take.
Yeah.
So when I introduced you to real estate, where was your mindset then compared to you getting involved and going through your challenge?
Yeah, so at the beginning, before anything, all I knew about real estate was you needed money, you needed experience, you needed to find the property, you needed people, you needed connections, you needed many stuff.
Right.
But when I met you, you told me that you don't need a lot of those stuff. Yeah, you need money, but not as much as you think. Yeah, you need connections, but not as many as you think. Like, you can make connections while going through this process. And, that's basically what I learned after I met you. But before I met you, I was just searching stuff on YouTube, Google, stuff like that. I wasn't learning directly to somebody that did it. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't know if the YouTuber actually knew what he was talking about.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, now I met somebody in person, I could see in person, I could talk to him in person, I could talk to him over the phone. Now it's easier for me to take the step forward and actually take that step. Because if I fail, I'm gonna fail knowing that I have somebody behind my back telling me how to get back up. If I was alone, I would have failed. I would have lost thousands of dollars. And now when I have a problem, I can just call you, tell you, yo, this is going on. And yeah, you helped me. But if I didn't have you, I'd be stuck right now. I probably wouldn't even have a property right now.
So there's a lot of misconceptions about real estate, right? They say you have to go to a bank, you gotta have a great job, your credit gotta be great. Did you think these are the only ways to get a property?
Yes, but no, at the same time, I knew you needed a lot of money.
Okay.
You needed good credit and all that stuff. I thought you needed all those stuff, but when I met you, I worked at Chipotle. Not a good job, not a great job. My credit was good, but I didn't even use my credit, so.
Okay.
And I barely had under $5,000 to even get my first property.
In my coaching, because you signed up for my coaching.
Yes.
There's a philosophy that I go by, and it's the be, do, have philosophy.
That's the first thing I learned from you.
Because in order to get your first property, or in order to become an investor, or in order to become anything that you want, you have to be that person first. Right? And most people think it's the other way around, meaning like you have to have the fly car, you gotta have the big chain, and you gotta have all this money then to become that person. And you just said, listen, I was at Chipotle, I had a little bit of money, I ain't know nothing about credit, I had credit, but I didn't know what to do with it. And throughout this process, there were some things that you needed to do within yourself to become that person.
Yes, of course.
So what are those things would you like to share?
Yes, so the be, do, have method, I literally told you that I wanted to have this and that, and you told me, wait.
Right.
Let's not think about the have, let's think about the be first, and then the do, and then the have.
Okay.
That day I learned that you have to become who you want to become in order to have what you want to have. And you have to do and sacrifice your time, your sleep, your money, all of that in order to have what you want.
So purpose of be, do, have was to get your mind, your body, and your soul aligned.
Yes.
Right? First of all, to become wealthy is not only a physical thing.
Nope.
It's all
mental,
about mental
and soul.
And soul.
Yes.
So every week, what did we do in the beginning?
Worked out.
We worked out, right?
You told me work out every day, every single day. That helped me get used to working out. You know, like those runs in the park that I used to do at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, it helped me get used to going to the gym. And I still to this day, I go to the gym and help me actually develop my mental and, you know, approach stuff differently.
Now, in the beginning, right? Did you think it was a waste of time? You just working out? Like, did you feel like it was certain things that make sense? Or did you understand that it was a process? Like, you didn't know it was unfolding, but you did know that it was a process to go through.
Yeah. So at the beginning, actually, we just started with the mental stuff. We didn't start with looking for property. We didn't start looking for none of that. We started actually working out only, eating healthy, and reading, listening to podcasts. I was like, am I ever gonna get to that point where I buy this property?
Now, mind you, not everybody who joins my coaching has to work out. It's optional, because sometimes people don't want to work out. They just want to get straight to it.
Yeah.
However, we don't just get straight to it.
Yeah.
I have to really see where you're at mentally and see how you can be that person today. But for you, for us, our experience, you worked out. You worked out together, right?
Yeah, I think it should be into everybody's experience, even though it's not necessary.
Right.
But I think it should be applied into everybody's course because it really helps you understand where you at. Like, can I do this? Can I not do this? When you work out, you feel more confident in yourself. You feel more confident in your mind. You feel more confident in every single part of your soul. I feel like working out is not just about physical and looking good physically. It's also about being disciplined.
Right.
In order to actually go to the gym every day, I have to be disciplined. I had days where I had certain motivations. I still got up. I still went to the park at 1 a.m. at the beginning. Now I go to the gym, obviously.
Right.
But at the beginning, it was really hard actually getting used to working out. If I cannot get used to working out, which was the bare minimum, how am I going to get used to maintaining a property or multiple properties in the future, you know?
Right. So after you got, I'm laughing because I saw when we first started, I just saw you struggling, right? And then you grew rapidly.
Yeah.
With your body, with your mental.
I just needed somebody, you know?
Right. So after a short period of time, you were saying it directly, like, yo, when are we going to start this real estate?
Yeah.
So we dive right into it. What were some things that you had to learn on your own to develop your own identity, to say, you know what, I could do this by myself? However, I did guide you, but it was certain things that you had to learn on your own.
Yeah, of course. There was many stuff, actually. Talking to people and actually negotiating with them.
People like who?
Like the seller of the property.
Were the sellers the only people you were talking to in the beginning, or you went through a mirage of people?
Yeah, I went through a lot of people. I went through inspections.
Did you talk to agents, brokers?
Yes, I talked to a lot of those, but I had to learn how to actually speak to them. You know, I speak very natural, you know, I say what's in my mind. Whatever comes out, comes out. But with them, I had to actually think before I spoke.
So you basically had to relearn how to speak, because now you're in a different arena.
Yeah, from the project, so you know how we talk in the projects.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, yo, what's good? What's up? Because it was times where you was like, yo, Marcus, can you, drum me on this 3-way call?
Yeah.
And I hear you speak like, yo, what's up? I mean, yo, and the people on the other side of the phone were like, what? Like, and they'll just hang up on you or they just steer you away.
Yeah.
But the more you did it,
the more
you got better.
The more words I eliminated from my vocabulary.
I mean, it was funny watching, but in that process, you was growing.
Yeah, I was.
Right? Now,
every single day.
Now, how many people did you call? How many people did you reach out to?
I actually have this in mind because I have always thought about it. After I did it, I had like over 100 or 200 like people I talked to. Besides the properties, I had to call over 50 inspectors because some of them were closed, some of them were not working that day, some of them were just not working in the area. There was a lot of, BS, but
right.
I still found one, but it was after many calls,
Like hundreds of calls.
Hundreds of calls. That was, beside the properties, it was hundreds of calls, just everything else like that.
Right.
Like finding insurance too, everything.
Now, you mentioned inspectors and property managers, and that's before you get the property.
Yes,
right?
that's
So
before.
you was pretty much calling, emailing people just to see if that property made sense. Because many times I remember you used to call me and say, yo, I'm excited, I got this property. And then you found out that that property wasn't a good fit. Right? So there was a process that you had to go through just to get to the point if that property was worth your time.
Exactly. There was many times where I found a property and they look good on the outside.
Right.
It looked amazing on the outside. And it didn't have no pictures from the inside.
Right.
Good price, but when you email them just saying you picture from the inside, it's all messed up. You're gonna have to spend more money on fixing it than actually buying the property.
Right. So from the day I met you
Yeah.
until the day you got your property, How long did it take?
About 3 months exactly.
To the day, right?
Yes, exactly. It was literally when I started your course, 3 months after I went to Chicago to check out the property.
Right. So the cool thing about the coaching is whatever property that people find, I actually go with you to that state, right?
Yeah.
Now, was you surprised that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
He stood there for what, 2 days, 1 day?
I was there. We was there about 2 days.
2 days. And I was like, 2 days?
But I stood there for 2 days.
I stood there for
you stood there for a week.
Yeah.
But the whole point was that I was with you throughout the entire process, right? And it was fun. And now, because you found a property in Illinois, that caught my interest to get some properties out there as well, right? So first of all, you got the property under contract.
Yeah.
So the only way you was able to fly out there was to get the property under contract first. Because if you didn't, you was probably going to waste your time anyway.
Yeah.
So you got the property under contract first. We flew to Illinois, right? And then what?
You know what's funny about that? We actually went over there to seal the property and to close it off. But right before closing it off, the seller didn't email me back for like 2 days.
So hold on. Probably, I'm going to say on the 88th day.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got the property on the 90th day. On the 88th day, the seller wasn't responding.
At all.
Right?
At all. Because he asked me for my income, how much I made, and I didn't lie.
You didn't lie. Now, just being honest, being transparent. You didn't lie. Remember, you was working at Chipotle.
Exactly.
And you're not making that much.
Yeah.
So that goes to show you that even if you have a low paying job, it's very possible for you to still get your property.
Yeah.
So you told them your income.
I told them my income, but I feel like they didn't think it was enough. So they just ignored me for a whole day. But
that drove you insane, right?
I was so scared because I went all the way to Illinois. Spent a lot of money.
Just to get
my brother actually came with me and spent a lot of money. You spent money. Everybody spent money, and if they wouldn't have worked out, then it would have been for nothing. I'm like,
right.
So even after he wasn't answering for like a whole day, I kept emailing him.
Now, before you kept on emailing him, you went to go see the property. Right? You saw the property. You knew what you was getting into.
Yeah.
And I think you wait for the seller to say, you know what, the property is yours.
Yeah.
I think the anticipation was just building up. So then when was it the moment when you just took a deep breath and you was excited? Like, can you describe that experience?
Actually, when they said that they have confidence in me because I came all the way to Illinois. I was actually there, and I kept telling them they're not gonna regret it. And after like a whole day, they answered me back and was like, "We trust you, and we want to move forward." And that's when I was celebrating.
Yeah, it was an exciting moment because we know, what you went through, the process, and at any time throughout this process, did you talk to anybody at the bank?
Not at all. The only time I talked to a bank was when I was about to wire the money to the seller.
And was it any time where the seller asked for your credit?
Not at all.
Did anybody ask for your credit?
Not at all. And my credit was actually pretty good at that time. So, but I ain't even needed the credit. They didn't ask me for no credit. They didn't ask me for no history of anything.
Right.
They asked me for my income, simple stuff like that.
So this process debunked so many myths because a lot of people think you got to have a great paying job, you got to go to the bank, and you got to go through so many paperwork process to do all of this. And we did none of that.
Yeah.
Right. So after you got your property, right, you thought you could relax. You thought, I can breathe now. I'm good.
It's the worst.
I'm good. And that's when you get your property or anything for that matter, like whatever industry you in, once you accomplish that goal, that's when the journey really begins.
Yeah.
Because like you said before we started the show, what you said?
To stay rich.
Stay rich.
Easier to get rich than stay rich.
Right. Because
easier to get a property than maintain a property.
Right. And you learned that quickly. Because I've learned that too. At the same time, sometimes we have to learn our own experiences because even though I was guiding you, you didn't listen to every single thing that I said. And it's not because you just were stubborn or you just say, you know what, I don't care, I'm gonna do it. It's just because it was your journey. It was your story. And sometimes certain things that you may do may work for you that it didn't work for you.
Yeah.
However, certain things that you decided to go left and you ran through some challenges. And no matter who signs up for my coaching, you're going to run into challenges because I guided you throughout the whole way. But however, you still went through challenges, but you overcame it. Yeah. Would you like to share about that?
I knew there wasn't going to be an easy road. I knew who I want to become was not going to be easy. But who I want to become was like more challenging than
to gain a property.
Yeah.
That's the challenging part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So real quick, because I know you're about to share your mistakes. Now, one thing that we talked about was before you get the property, find a property management company within a 1 to 2 mile radius. And I'm not gonna front. You called about like 7 to 10 property management companies, and out of like 7 to 10, probably 3 called you back. And one of them, the percentage of them taking a percentage of your rent was higher than others, right?
Yeah.
So did that affect your decision from picking one? Because when I first got started, I didn't hire property because I wanted to keep all the money myself.
Yeah.
Right? I was greedy mentally, and I said, you know what? I could do everything by myself. No one's going to take 10% of the rent. I got it all. So what was your decision making, and why did you pick, that property manager? And then you can explain.
Yeah. So same thing for me. I wanted to keep most of the money, but I knew I needed a management company because it was way too far. I was in New York. The properties in Illinois. But one mistake I did make was thinking about the one that charges me the less instead of the best one.
Yeah, explain that more.
So there was property management that were charging me 12%, 13%, and there was this one that I actually ended up with that was charging me only 10%. But at first, all I thought was, okay, 10% is not that bad.
Okay.
I just went with it just because it was the cheapest.
All right. Now, before you go any further, correct me if I'm wrong. We could be real honest.
Yeah.
I was saying, listen, Eduardo, you got to visit the property management company.
Yeah.
However, you chose not to.
Yeah.
And there's a possibility if you would have went to the property management company, probably would have said, you know what, there's something about this company that just didn't seem right. So, I just wanted us to be truthful. Everything wasn't a smooth process. We did have some bumps in the road, but we stuck to it.
Yeah, I think there was many times I made mistakes myself. Like you said, not everything that you said I listened to. I want to try my own, own journey.
Right.
But there was many stuff that could have changed, would have been better now if I would have listened to you and would have did what you told me to. After the confirmation with the property was settled, I didn't think too much about everything else. I was just excited to go on. So the management property.
So what was their job when you hired the property management company, right?
Fix up the property and get a tenant.
Okay.
That was their first priority.
Okay.
What are you gonna ask me now?
So when they told you, this is our job, this is what we're gonna do, and they gave the impression that within 30 days you was gonna get a tenant, and they was gonna fix a few things, the cosmetic work that needed to be done so your property could be rent ready. They said, it was gonna be 2 weeks, 30 days, but honestly, you could talk about how long did it take.
To be honest, they did take longer than expected. It took them like 3 months.
And it shouldn't have. It went way too longer than expected.
Exactly. To actually get a tenant. So I hired this management company around November, maybe October 2024, when I bought the property.
Okay. So then November, am I wrong? In November, that's when they started to
Yes. I hired them in October. November, they started working.
Okay.
And you won't believe when I got a tenant.
When was it? About
September 2025. A year, almost a year.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. It took them almost a year to get a tenant. The property was ready for months already before we got a tenant. But it took them around 6-7 months.
Six to 7 months
already.
Right. So I don't mean to cut you off. Right. I just want to point out, a property manager, and I've said this in my book, and I say this to, a lot of people, a property manager can make or break your deal. It don't matter how good your property is, because you had a decent property. It didn't need that much work. It was really cosmetic. Your property needed about 30 to 40% cosmetic work. That means it was nothing major. Probably rip out the rugs, clean the rugs, fix the tubs, nothing major. And they dragged out that process.
They dragged out every single thing.
It was many times where I had to call on your behalf and, look out for you and say, yo, look, what's going on? So now you go through that process. There was many times that you wanted to quit. You started to question probably me, probably you, probably real estate as well.
Everything.
Right? Everything, right? But you constantly kept in contact. I had to constantly remind you that, yo, listen, you're gonna overcome this. You have to just be persistent and you gotta just stick with it.
Yeah.
Because there's not many 20-year-olds that have an obstacle about building wealth.
Yeah.
It's usually about, damn, I need to get these new sneakers, or I need to go to this girl's house. You were stressing about how to build wealth and how to get a tenant in your property.
It was just
It's a different different lane.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to remind you, like, listen, you're not dealing with the average 20-year-old problem, right? Yes, you're living with your parents. At the same time, that's a huge advantage. And most people at your age, yes, they live with their parents, but they're not focusing on building wealth like that. They might dibble and dabble, but you was actually in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Even after I got a tenant, there were many challenges. So one of the mistakes that I did, like I said, was hiring this management company. One of the things that they did while we had no tenant, the bills were racking up.
So the goal was to fire the property management company or figure out a way to just get out this contract.
Yeah, as soon as they got me the tenant.
So as time went by, we figured out we had to really play chess. And you was able to get out of that contract.
Yeah.
And now the tenant was going to deal with you directly. But the cool thing about it was the relationships that I built with people in Illinois, I connected them with you. Now they're your property manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you hire people who are living in that area and they're familiar with the neighborhood and they know, they know all the tenants.
Shout out Jonathan.
He was able to help you get back and start gaining some positive cash flow. Right? So how did that feel when you finally was able to get that deposit in your bank account and it helped you pay some bills and keep some money in your pocket? Explain that.
It's actually funny because I don't usually spend the money that I get from my rent, but there was one time I was that broke. I needed like $20 for something. And I was like, I got $20 in my business account. So like just being able to know that I have a cash flow going on and I have money somewhere else that if in case of emergency, like just receiving that money, it felt so good,
So my goal is to help you become a millionaire.
Yeah.
I believe that's one of them because you want to do things for your family, your mother, things for yourself, and probably start expanding and get into other things.
Yeah.
So now we was talking about helping you get a bigger property. And the experiences that you learned from Illinois, now you can learn from those and apply it to the bigger properties that you started to look at. Now, let me ask you, did you think, you know what, this is the only property I'm going to deal with, and that's it, one and done?
It was very challenging not to give up.
Okay.
The hardest part of this journey was not giving up. Like I really had to learn firsthand with this property that nothing you see online is what you think.
Throughout this process, I did help you get some business credit.
Yeah.
Right? How much? You remember?
It was around 15,000, but with my mistake, I got all the way to 9,000.
I mean, yeah. However, we still was able to get something.
Yeah.
Right? And that helped.
Yeah.
Right?
Helped a lot.
It helped a lot, right? So now, let me ask you this. The property that you was able to acquire, did I get any percentage out of that?
Not at all.
The property that you found is 100% yours.
Yeah.
I don't get no back end fee.
No, not at all.
None of that. It's all yours.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's very important to share because sometimes in real estate, there are different strategies and avenues to get in. And sometimes people do take a certain percentage. And I completely understand it because sometimes they don't have to put no money into it, right? And rightfully so, that person gets a percentage. But with my coaching, I help you get your property and I don't get any percentage of the property that you get.
Yeah.
Whatever rent money that you get, the cash flow, the net cash flow that you get is all you.
Yeah.
And my goal is to help you get more unlimited. Right? And I just want to see you win, become financially free, and just do your thing.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think your course is actually really helpful. I think it's a really good pricing for people that are actually serious for it. Besides getting the property, the knowledge is an investment.
I charge 2 levels, actually 3. The first level that I did with you, 5,000 minimum. The second level was 10,000, and the third level was 25,000. So after this episode, when it airs, I want people to come back 3 years later and find out where you at with your journey. And honestly, you may surpass me, right? But I'm so fulfilled of seeing you grow as a person and ascend to become the person you need to become.
Of course.
Throughout that journey, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be the person I will be right now without you, obviously. Like I said at the beginning, working out, I got into actually working out every day because of you. And there were many times that I almost gave up and all I had to do was call you and then I'll be like, I got this, So I want to thank you for that, for everything you have done for me, And I just wouldn't be here without Marcus, without the session team. I'm really grateful for where I'm going to be in the future and 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I don't regret anything.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and you continue to push me to get better, right? And Arabellis, she helps me to get better, and the people in my circle help me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't think you understand how much of an impact that you have.
Yeah.
Right? Like, seriously.
Like, you really don't know the impact you have until you see it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, with you, like, you have had a bigger impact in my life than most people that have met for years.
And it means a lot, because I remember one day, it touched me. You said, Marcus, you're like my rich dad. Like, rich dad, poor dad. And that was cool, man, because I didn't expect that.
Yeah, it was funny because after I read that book, Robert Kiyosaki's father was a teacher, just like my father, my actual father. And then
you did say that.
Yeah. My actual father was a teacher, and his actual father was a teacher, and they had basically the same mindset. Every time I talked to them about the same stuff that I would talk to you about, it would just be the same answer as Robert Kiyosaki's dad, And when I talked to you, it was mostly like talking to the rich dad. So right after reading that book, I was like, yo, you like my rich dad, and my dad before that.
That was definitely, that was cool for you, for you to say that.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it, but I really want to continue to help you just expand your portfolio and, go from there.
Yeah. The next property is gonna be a smoother ride. Like this one was a little grumpy, Next one, I already know what not to do. Maybe not everything what to do, but I know what not to do.
Okay. So before we wrap up, what are things that you can tell people who are thinking about real estate or they're hesitant about jumping in? What would you say to those people?
First, I would say to get a mentor. Get somebody who actually has the experience from where you want to learn from. Not just real estate, but in anything you have to find a mentor.
Right.
But in real estate specifically, don't believe anything you see online about real estate investing. Not everything is true. Like, you don't need thousands and thousands of dollars in order to get a property. You don't need an 801 credit. You don't need many stuff that people think they do. All you need is a good foundation, and you need to be prepared. Something that I struggled to was being unprepared. Like, I had you to help me for the stuff that I was unprepared to.
Right.
Learn, like you said, be, do, have.
Yeah.
Like, actually learn about real estate investing, not just want to have it.
Who do you recommend to teach people that?
The Ascension team.
But where can people find you? Social media? What's your social medias?
I go on Instagram by Eduardo.
Spell that.
EDUARDOG03. TikTok is Eduardo DA Goat.
Eduardo the Goat?
The Goat.
Okay. And if people want to reach out to you to find out if this was legit, they have your information.
You have my information.
And then, you go from there. My people out there who's interested in real estate investing and they need coaching or guidance, everything that we talked about today is in my book. Fifth grader can do it, you can too. Real Estate Investing Made Simple. You can check out my website, ascensionmgnt.com. That's ASCENSION mgnt.com. And subscribe, leave a review. Follow me on my TikTok, The Ascension Team. It's your boy Marcus. I'm out.